Okay, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to do certs. So this is the notes that you guys should have, okay? Now for certs, I'm going to tell you a mini story about certs. But before we do certs, you need to be very clear of your perfect squares, okay? So I'm going to go through the fundamental of certs first. So over here, there is a tip. So the tip is that you cannot square root a negative number. So everybody take out your calculator right now and put square root of 2. So square root of 2, what do you get? 1.41 yada yada, right? So always remember when we learn in Sec 2, whenever we put a square root, what do we need to put in front of the square root? Plus minus. We need to put a plus minus in front of the square root. So hence, I know that my answer will be plus minus 1.41 yada yada. So I got 2 solutions. And if we link back to the previous chapter, we learned that we got 2 solutions means 2 real roots, and 2 real roots means discriminant is more than 0. Correct? So next up is that when we square root a 0, because this is a positive number. When we square root a 0, do you realize it just gives 0? Plus 0 is the same as negative 0. So at the end of the day, you only get 1 real root, which is 1 solution. So discriminant is equal to 0. Next, another kind of numbers that you can square root is instead of positive number, instead of 0, the next one you can square root is a negative number, right? So you put it in your calculator, what happens? Now, what does math error means? Math error means that there is no solution. Means it's not possible to square root a negative number. Now, this knowledge is very important because later part, you'll realize that you need to do this thing called the check back. Okay? And this is something that students always neglect. So let's say, remember discriminant, we do a 4-mark question, guys? Then remember the condition will determine whether you get 3 marks or 4 marks. Remember? Last lesson we did it. So right now, certs is the same thing. If certs is a 4-mark question, sometimes you only get 3 marks even though you get all the answer. So what differentiates you getting full marks versus a student getting 3 marks is this thing called the check back. So later, I will teach you how to do the check back. So the check back only comes when we do solving for certs. Okay, so please write all this down. Now, next, whenever you want to square root cert, okay, basically cert means you square root it. So some teacher will say that this is called cert 2. Some teacher will say that this is called root 2. So depends on your teacher. Different teacher have different style. Yeah. So you just need to know that this means it can be cert 2. This means that it can be root 2. So be it whether your teacher says cert 2 or root 2, your teacher is referring to this number. Okay? Clear so far? Can? If you are lost, just raise up your hand. Then I will come back to you. Okay, so right now, we need to learn what are perfect squares. So this thingy right here now, perfect squares is to help you in this concept called simplifying. Is to help you in this concept called simplifying. So I'm going to teach you how to simplify a cert. So sometimes your teacher say that, hey, you know, if let's say you leave your answer as cert 28, right? Your teacher say that this is not allowed. Because why? Because you never simplify. So what is simplify? So simplify means you need to check whether the 28 can be broken down to any perfect squares. So what are perfect squares? Perfect squares are numbers like 1, 4, 9, 16. What's after 16? Anybody know?
25.
Very good. 25. And after 25? 36. After 36? 49. After 49?
64.
Yes, 64. How to get 64? 8 times 8, followed by 81, and so on and so forth. So basically, right, if you are very familiar with your perfect square numbers, then this chapter, no problem. Got it so far? Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to simplify cert 28. You need to know that cert 28 is actually made up of who times who.
4 times 7.
4 times 7. And do you notice that this person right here, the 4 is your perfect square? So this 4, what you should do is you can actually square root the 4. So usually what I'll do is I always like to circle and put an arrow to remind myself that, hey, okay, I need to square root the 4. It's just a reminder for my brain. It's just to train my brain because sometimes I may forget to square root. So now guys, when you square root 4, what do you get? I think I should use a different color. Okay, let me use a different color. Okay, so square root 4 gives me, so I just put 2. And then what am I left with? I'm left with root 7, the end. So we don't write it as square root 28, we write it as 2 square root 7. Then you need to check 7 got any more perfect squares or not? No more perfect square factors, right? And that's when we stop. Got it? Okay. So sometimes your teacher have another kind of question. Your teacher will just say that leave in cert A form. Okay. So what does cert A form means? Meaning, can you see there is no number beside the square root on the left-hand side? So, for example, if let's say you get 3 square root 11, you cannot leave it in this way. The answer is wrong. So what does it mean? It means that right now, I need to kind of put this 3 inside the square root. Correct now, guys? And put this 3 inside the square root, what does it mean? It means that when the 3 goes inside, the 3 becomes a 3 squared, which is a 9. Because why? Square root 9 gives me 3. Okay? So it's 9 times 11. So the answer is square root 99. So it means that 3 cert 11 is the same as square root 99. Clear so far? So all this, you have to write that down. So write all of this down in your notes right now. Remember the color coding, the blue, I circle the bubble, I draw the arrow to the left-hand side. Please do that also. And then, can you see this is also in blue? Blue, blue, blue. Okay. And red, red, red. So all these are little like strategies to help you be more aware when you're doing it. So always remember, when you want to take out the square root, can you see, guys, the 4, right? I want to take it out. Means I literally square root it, correct? But if I want to put it back in, means what?
Square.
I square it. Yes, I square it. So when I want to put it back in, I square it. So write it down. Put back in. This is take out. So when I want to take out, I will square root. If I want to put back in, I will square it. Okay, so you'll be wondering what's the story, right? Let's start with the story. Okay, just a mini story to help you to remember easily. Okay. Now, so can you see, right? A and B. Are they the same alphabet?
No.
Different, right? So, right, this square root A is like, you can treat the square root as a house, a home, okay? So what happened is that this person, because they are different number, right? So maybe this is a girl. A girl has a home, right? And then she meets a boy that also have a home. Then realize that the girl is like, hey, not bad. You're very capable. You also own a home. I'm also very capable. I also own a home. So what do? We will stay together because I want to marry you. We are both capable people.
I want to marry you because you have a home.
Yeah. Some people cannot afford a home. It's like, wow, not bad. You have a home, I have a home. Let's marry and stay together and be in a home. Okay, now why this story is very important. For example, okay, now back to math. Let's say I have square root 2 times square root 5, right? Can you see they're both different numbers?
Yeah.
But do they both have so-called like a home, which is a cert?
Yeah.
Have, right? So they'll all come together, but it will not be 25. No, it's actually 2 times 5. Understand? Got it? Which is actually equal to cert 10. Understand how to apply this concept already? That is end of story number 1. Done. Okay, so next up, story number 2. So now what happens in story number 2? Story number 2 is this guy right here. Okay, these are story number 2. I better write 2, easier to see. This guy is like, you know, like, oh, okay, I don't have a home, but I'm gonna find a pretty girl. I'm gonna, like, you know, scout around. It's about time for me to get married. And then he chanced upon this girl who is so capable and she has a home. Right? And then the girl is like, hey, you are a dude. How can you not even have a home? I'm so capable. I buy my own home. But it's like, the girl's like, but I want to be with you. Yeah, the girl said, yes, you can be with me. You stay outside of my house. I don't want to be with you. You just be there. Okay? He's like, oh, okay. So he's just outside. So how do we apply this to math? So for example, I have 2 times square root 5, right? So 2 times square root 5 means what? Does a 2 have a home, like the cert thingy? Yes or no? No. So it just be outside lah. Okay? So it just be 2 cert 5. You guys get it? Understand? And that with that, we are done with story number 2. All right? Okay. Please write down your notes. I'm going to go backwards because I realized you all didn't write your notes. Okay, let's start with story number 1. So story number 1, can you see this example right here? Please write it in your notes and please write that down. It's not square root 25. It's wrong. It's actually cert 2 times 5, which gives cert 10. Okay? Write this on your notes already. This example, just this example will do. Okay, then next is story number 2. You write down this example already? Yeah. So you can do that. All right, next up, let's move on to story number 3. Okay, story number 3, very exciting. This is like a hybrid, okay? This one quite difficult. Okay, so story number 3 is like, for example, this guy, remember just now we continued the story where he meets this capable girl, right? He meets this capable girl and then, you know, the guy is just outside and then the girl is like, oh, okay. Then after that, there's this guy. He's like quite a, I don't know, a nicer way to say. What's a nicer way to say? Like he's quite a not so good person, okay? He owns a home, all right? But then he just treat the girl very badly. He thinks that, oh, I'm so capable. I own a home. But then he treat the girl very badly to the point that the girl doesn't want to go home. She's always outside crying. It's like, oh my God, this guy. Okay, so I'm going to call this person as, this guy as, this female is female pink. And this female is female purple. And this male is blue. And then this male is green, okay? They're all different guys, right? Then after that, one day they meet each other. They went on a couple date. Yeah, this couple number 1, meet up with couple number 2. And then the guy was like, oh, you're thrown outside by the guy. Then the girl in purple say, no, I'm just like very sad. He always make me very sad. Then I was like, why not we are together? Because that my female partner thinks she's so capable. And she's like, oh, okay, good idea. So the guy in blue will be together with the guy in female in purple. And then they was like, hey guys, since you think you're so capable, you're together lah. Then after that, the pink and the green say, okay, we'll be together. We'll have a house. You guys, bye-bye. You'll be together. So the pink and the green will be together. Do you understand now? So how we apply this in math? For example, we have 2 square root 5 times like 3 square root 7. Correct? Can you see they're all different numbers? We have 2, 5, 3, 7, right? So for this case, who will be with who?
6 square root 35.
The 2 and 3 will come together, right? And remember, 2 and 3 come together is actually 2 times 3. So 2 times 3, what does that give me? 6. And then after that? So change color, pen, this and this, which will give me square root 5 times 7, 35. So it's 6 square root 35. These two will times each other. Got it so far? So this is story number 3. So you can write this example down. Okay, so with that, we are done with story number 3. We'll move on to story number 4. Can I move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is story number 4? Story number 4.
Got 2 houses but sell away the house.
The two houses.
Yeah, what happened, right? You'll be wondering, right? Okay. Have you heard of this thing called cat fight?
The slap one.
Cat fight. Usually cat fight happen between who?
Cat and
Two
cat.
childish people.
Girl.
Female or male?
Female.
Females, right? So
Cat.
this is square root a female, a capable female, and then meet another capable female. She's like, I'm so capable, I have a house. He said, hey, who said I also equally capable? I'm a female, I have a house. Then they fight, right? They fight until become court case. Then they fight, right? Always court case, no. They lose all their money at the end of the day.
No house.
No house. And only one female left. Okay? No house, only one female left. Okay? The other one, I won't say what happened to her, but she disappeared. She disappeared. Only one female can win at the end of the day. So how do we apply this? So for example, like square root 2 times square root 2, right? So square root 2 times square root 2 at the end of the day? 2, because they fight until no house. And only one female stays. Okay? But just in exam, in case if you forget my funny story, you can take your calculator right now. You can put square root 2 times square root 2. What does it give you in your calculator? Does it also give you 2?
Yeah.
Right? Now we try again. Square root 5 times square root 5. Does it give you 5 also? That's just in case in exam you forget this story. Okay? And with that, we are done with story number 4. So next up, all these stories are actually real rules, you know, for certs. Okay? Yeah. So I'm just sharing with you guys so that it's easier for you all to remember. And this story is I created on my own. Yeah.
Very creative story.
Thank you. Okay, so right now we'll move on to story number 5. So story number 5, what happens in story number 5?
What the hell? How are you going to explain that?
Okay, so how are we going to explain this, right? Story number 5 is basically like C square root A square, right? So story number 5 is not really like a story already. We are going to apply story number 1 to 4 for your story number 5. So first, you need to understand the concept of x squared. So when you see x squared in algebra that you learn in lower set, what does x squared means? X squared. Yes, x squared means actually x times x. So we're going to apply this concept of x times x. So if we see c square root a squared is actually c sub a multiplied by c sub a, right? Correct? So you can see, right, these two c's are like the two people here. They're already very miserable already. They get kicked out already, right? They're like, oh my God, our life is so miserable already. Why need to fight over a house? We don't need it. We're just going to make more babies. So they make more babies from c squared. They multiply each other. Got it? So it'll give me c squared. All right. But these two people think that they're very capable. They were like, oh my God, I have a house. Oh my God, I also have a house. They just continue fighting. At the end of the day, no house. So these two will just become A. That's it. But then in math, we don't write as c squared A. It's very ugly. We write as A c squared. Okay? Yeah. So that is story number 5. Now, what is story number 6? Story number 6 is, okay, maybe I'll give you an example for story number 5. So story number 5, what example you can have? Like, for example, you have 2 sub 5 square, right? So 2 sub 5 square, since you all understand the concept, I'll do a shortcut. Are you all ready for the shortcut? Look at here, I'll circle the square, arrow, arrow, because I need to square the 2 and square the sub 5, right? So guys, a lot of students cannot see this. It means it's actually 2 squared. What is 2 squared? 4. Now, next, since we are on here, right? Can you see it's a sub 5 square? So cert 5 square means cert 5 times cert 5, right? They fight each other. At the end of the day, I just get 5. So you need to know that this means bracket 5. Got it? And 4 times 5 is 20. Yeah, so you can write this example. Okay, so I want to take a highlighter, highlight out. 2 square gives you 4. Change highlighter color and highlight out. Cert 5 square gives you 5. So when you revise, you'll understand that pink with pink and blue with blue. Now we'll move on to story number 6. Story number 6, pretty simple. It's just an algebra rule. So for example, you have square root 2 over 5, right? So square root 2 over 5, you must be able to see as is actually square root 2 over square root 5. That's all. Okay? Got it? Because square root 2, you see, they are both in a house. Square root 5 also in a house. Just that this one, they upgrade already. They stay in landed. One upstairs, one downstairs. But they still own a home. Okay? Yeah. So with that, I'm done with my story of certs. So with it, we are going to start practicing the questions in your worksheet. So everybody take out your worksheet now that I just give it to you. Okay, so for this story, right? So after all those story, why is it that, and how are we going to continue doing all this kind of question and how do we apply them? So always remember, whenever we want to simplify them, we always aim to have same cert. What do I mean? Can you see over here is cert 50? Over here is cert 8, right? They are not the same. So you need to understand how do we break down the cert 50. So remember just now I taught you how to break it down. So what is 50 made up of? So we got to copy out the question first. So it's actually 3 square root and 50 is made up of 25 times 2. I always like to put my perfect square first, okay? Minus away, and what is cert 8 made up of? What kind of perfect square? Yes, 4 times 2. Now, I want you all to take out your red pen, make the effort to circle the perfect square, put the arrow, make an effort to circle the perfect square and draw an arrow. So what do we have at the end of the day? It will give me 3 bracket. When I take out the 25 from the square root, what does it give me? It gives me 5 and I'm left with cert 2. Minus away, take out the cert 4 out from the square root. What does it give me? 2. So it's 2 cert 2. So at the end of the day, this means that it's 15 cert 2 minus 2 cert 2. So if you're having difficulty to understand this, just now the story, do you realize it's all times to apply the rule? Right now. So this one is not times. Do not be confused between this 15 cert 2 times 2 cert 2. This is apply the story that I teach you, where just now we take 5 times 2, we get 30. And then we take root 2 times root 2, we get 2 and we get 60. Clear? But this is actually like, for example, 4, you can see cert 2 as an alphabet like A minus 2A. So in algebra, when you have 4A minus 2A, what does it give you? Maybe I shouldn't use 4A. Maybe I should use 5A instead. So I have 5A minus 2A. What does it give me? 3A. So it's the same concept. If I have 15 root 2 or cert 2 minus 2 cert 2, what does it give me at the end of the day?
13 cert 2.
13 cert 2, yes. It's just like algebra. Got it? Yeah, so you can copy all this onto your worksheet. Once you're done, put down your pen. Then I know that I can move on to example 2. Okay, I'm going to move on already. So right now, can you see we got 3 different certs? We got a cert 27, a cert 3, and then a cert 9, right? So if let's say you're good in your math, you know that they all have a common cert.
3.
Oh, wow, not bad. Okay, looks like you can do on your own already, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'll still help you guys because I want you all to do it the right way.
Oh.
So we have square root 27. We'll break down the square root 27, but always make a habit to write down the question first, no matter how lazy you are, no matter how bad day you're having. So just write everything down. And what is square root 27 made out of? You say 3 times 9, I don't accept. Why? Why do I not accept 3 times 9?
Bigger number was.
No.
Of course, 9 also got the 3, so it's 3 by 3.
What must come first always?
Perfect square.
Yes, the perfect square. So always make an effort to do the perfect square first. So 27 is made out of what?
3 square.
Huh? Still 3?
9.
Yes, 9 times 3 plus. Now, can you see the square root 3 is already simplified already? Leave it on its own. And 2. Now, a lot of students do this. Guys, look here. Look. They'll do like that. 3 times 3. Because they see, hey, here got root 3, here got root 3. This person also, I do root 3. You get what I mean? Then they say, Miss Lin, I'm stuck. I cannot square root 3. I cannot square root 3. Then what do I do? Because, right, you need to be really sensitive. Why? Can you see square root 9? What is square root 9?
3.
Square root 9 is actually 3. Because why? Square root 9, the 9 is already a perfect square. Do you understand? So you need to be really clear with what your perfect square is. If you do like that, you'll be stuck. So this is not, this is gone. It's actually square root 9 if you put it in your calculator. So next time, if you don't know, right? Let's say you don't know it can be square rooted. You know what you can do? Take your calculator right now, write square root 27. Put square root 27 into your calculator. What do you get? Do you get an integer or a decimal? Decimal. Square root 3, do you get an integer or a decimal? Decimal also, right? Square root 9, do you get an integer or a decimal? Integer. And the integer is how much? 3. So, do you understand now? So, if let's say, guys, listen very carefully. If let's say you know that you get a decimal and a decimal, you know that you need to do a breakdown. Clear so far? But of course, this square root 3 is already simplified form already lah. You don't have to break it down. Okay, so far so good. So the same technique, remember I taught you guys, perfect square, we do an arrow out. So we have 3 square root 3 plus 3 minus, what is 2 times 3? 6. So remember I teach you a trick is to see this as algebra. So can you see this is same term and same term? Correct or not? So 3 sub 3 plus sub 3 will give you how much?
4.
Yes, 4 sub 3. Then, can you see this 6? Does it have a sub 3? Yes or no? No, so it just stay on its own. And that's the answer. The end. All right, so next time, let's move on to example 3. So example 3 is like OMG. Can you see such big numbers? So let's try to break down. So what is 6 cert 147 minus cert 12 plus 5 cert 243? Okay, so let's break down. 6 cert 147. What can 147 be made out of?
49 times 3.
Wow, not bad. Okay, minus what can 12 be broken down into? 4 times 3 plus 5. What about cert 243? Yes, 1 times 3. Excellent. So we will use a circle technique. Circle, arrow, circle, arrow, circle, arrow. Okay, so remember just now I have a middle step. Right now I'm going to skip steps already, because we are professional now. Okay, better not. Okay, we'll just stay as it is. 6 square root 49 gives me 7 root 3, right? Minus away 2 root 3 plus 5 bracket square root 81 is 9 root 3. So this thingy together, what does it give me?
42.
42 root 3 minus 2 root 3 plus 45 root 3, right? So can you see this looks like algebra, like 42a minus 2a plus 45a. So at the end of the day, guys, simplify this. What does it give you?
Minus 5 sub 3.
85.
Oh.
Yes, 85 sub 3. The end for example 3. Next, let's move on to example 4. Ready? And move on. Can I?
Can.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to example 4. Okay, so for example 4, same thing. All right, we have square root 125. Always make a habit to copy out the question first. So guys, usually when I do math, right, when I make a habit to copy out the question, I will also think at the same time, what am I going to do? Got it? So right now I have square root 125. So square root 125 can be broken down into 25 times 25.
25 times 5.
Yes, 25 times 5. Minus away, what about square root 45? What can be broken down into? 8 times 5? No.
9 times
9 times 5? Yes. And then 9, cert 5. Cert 5 is already the simplest form, right? I cannot even break it out anymore. It will just stay as it is. So what is square root 25? Make an effort to circle this and draw the arrow out. So it will give me how much? 5 cert 5 over 2. Minus away. I hope by now you should know this 3 cert 5, right? Make an effort to circle this, arrow out. And then any more? No more, right? Plus 9 cert 5. Okay, so guys, right now, you need to know that this person right here, listen, very important technique. This is actually together, but we don't write as 2.5. We'll just write as 5 over 2 cert 5 minus 3 cert 5 plus 9 cert 5. Clear so far? Yes or no? Now, take your highlighter, highlight out this, highlight out this, highlight out this, and literally put all this in your calculator. And what do you get? So highlight all this. Yeah, so it's just 17 over 2 cert 5. So you need to be very good with this technique because why, guys? Listen very carefully. In A math, we'll be using a lot of this technique, which is going to be very useful for your E math algebra. Okay? Clear? So this technique is very important. All right, next up. The next warm-up. All these are just warm-up only, guys. The next warm-up will be example 5. Let's go. Can you see that example 5 is like something times something? Treat it like algebra. Remember algebra, I teach you all the upper rainbow, lower rainbow. Correct or not, guys? Okay, so upper rainbow. Let's do the first rainbow. What is this times this? Upper rainbow. What does it give me? 5 cert 2. Another upper rainbow. Plus 7, yes. Lower rainbow. Yes, minus 5. Because can you see this one got no number in front? So it just be 5. And then can you see the house and the house together? So it's 3 times 2. It will give me 6. Anybody lost? I repeat again. Cert 3 times 5 cert 2, right? There's nothing in front of this cert is always what number? 1. So that means that 1 and 5 together will give me 5. And then cert 3 and cert 2 together will give me cert 3 and cert 2 together will give me yes, cert 6. Next up, another lower rainbow. Cert 3 times 7, what would that give me?
Minus 7 and then 2.
Yes. Okay, so right now, can you see that here got 2, here got 6, here got 3? But 2 cannot be broken down already because 2 is already in simplest form. But can you see that I can break down this person? So it'll be 5, what? 3 times 2, right? Because you'll be naturally thinking that, hey, here got 2, here got 3, and this 3 times 2. But do you realize that this is not a perfect square and this is also not a perfect square? So technically, you cannot simplify cert 6. Cert 6 will still be cert 6.
Also, you have the perfect square.
Understand or not? You cannot simplify because it's 2 times 3, what? Is 2 a perfect square? Is 3 a perfect square? 2 and 3, they are both not perfect square. So just leave it as it is, right? And then, any cert 2 term here? Yes or no? No. Any constant term here? Any root 6 or cert 6 term and any cert 3 term. So technically the answer is just like that, the end. Because you cannot simplify, there's nothing common to simplify. Clear so far? And that's the end for example 5. Okay, last warm-up. The last warm-up. Now guys, for this last warm-up, what does this red color one reminds you of? Anybody remember?
A square minus
Yes, algebraic identity. Which one?
B square minus
Cannot. Must start with what first? Bracket, yes. A square, no. Yes, it's actually an A plus B bracket square. Then how do we get this? How do we expand out? What's the formula?
A square plus B square plus 2A.
Yes. Okay. Now what about the one in blue? What does this remind you of?
bracket A minus B square.
Must say bracket square. And what does this give you?
A square plus 2AB minus A square minus 2AB.
Yes. Okay. Now guys, listen very carefully. Very, very important. Especially my math student cannot make this mistake. What is this thingy here?
Minus.
Remember I teach you all before, whenever you have a minus sign, what must you all do? Does anybody remember? Bracket who? Very good.
Bracket both.
No, bracket who? Who must we bracket?
1 minus set.
Yes, what kind of bracket?
Square.
Square bracket. Guys, why? Because if you don't put a square bracket, gone. Really gone. All wrong. You know why? Because this means there are 2 steps being involved. Number 1, you need to expand out your 1 minus root 5 square. Correct or not? Then step 2, what do you need to do? You need to take the negative and multiply by each term. Do you remember what I teach you all, the technique that I teach you all in Sec 2? Correct? So always remember this. When you have minus a term behind, you need to put a square bracket. Because if you don't put a square bracket, really gone. Very sad. It's a waste. Okay? So always remember that. So with that, let's start having fun. So now we have 1 plus cert 5 square minus. So guys, remember I teach you already? We must make effort to put a what? Put a what kind of bracket? Square bracket. 1 minus this. Okay? All right, so let's start. So now, what does this give me? A square, right? What is A square? How much is it? A square. Who's the A? 1. So 1 square gives me 1 square will give me 1. What else? Plus or minus? Plus, right? Then is 2 multiplied by 1. If you're not too good in algebra, you can just put that 2 multiplied by 1 multiplied by cert 5. Clear so far? Followed by plus cert 5 square, right? What is cert 5 square? 5 plus 5. The end. Now, minus away, what did I tell you already? So now we're going to expand this, right? The round bracket become, the square bracket become round bracket. Clear so far? So let's expand the one inside. So you need to be very careful. You need to square this and square this. So square 1, what does it give you? Which is yes? 1 followed by? Minus what? 2 bracket 1 bracket cert 5. Then followed by the last term plus 5. Okay, now let's start simplifying. Can you see the 1 and the 5 can be together? That will give me 6 plus 2 root 5. Minus away bracket, the 1 and the 5 together. 6 minus 2 root 5. Correct now. So Now, remember, because guys, do you remember that just now I told you if you don't put a square bracket, you are gone? Because if you don't put a square bracket, right, your answer will be 6 plus 2 root 5 minus 6 minus 2 root 5. This will be what you will be getting, correct or not? If you don't put a bracket, then at the end of the day, your answer is 0. But if you remember your bracket, you will know that, can you see the negative times this and negative times this? At the end of the day, I'll get 6 plus 2 root 5 minus 6. Negative and negative will give me positive 2 root 5. So the 6 minus 6 will be gone naturally, of course. 2 root 5 plus 2 root 5 is like 2a plus 2a, right? And 2a plus 2a is 4a. So the answer is 4 root 5. So can you see the difference between a student who remember to put bracket versus a student who don't remember to put bracket? And these are the little techniques that I'm not sure whether your school teacher will be teaching you, but these are the things that student will make mistake. So you need to be very, very careful. Okay? So usually this is like a 3-mark question. If let's say you forget your bracket, probably 1 mark only, when you can potentially get 3 marks. Okay, so if you're wondering, next lesson, we're going to do this thing called rationalizing denominator. If you look at your notes, it's actually the second half of the notes called rationalizing denominator. Then after rationalizing denominator for the next lesson, I'm going to teach you all, woohoo, fun math.
What is that?
So fun. I love
that?
it.
What is that?
This is fun. Okay, so now, after that, I'm going to teach you all how to do like, more simplifying. Then I'm going to teach you all how to do application. Okay? Application, and then we are done with certs. So by next lesson, you all need to be very, very focused because I'm going to finish up certs.
Wow.